That's what it's all about, really. People talk about the monkeys, the JPEGs, or the art, anything, but NFTs, what they really do is they allow people to buy things from each other online without trust. So let's start off right away with what's an NFT. An NFT is just to have something unique on the internet. In the real world, you can know that a painting is unique because you see it, there's only one, and it can be proven. Like on the internet, it's much harder because copies can be made super easily and it's tough to trust. If you wanted to do like we do in the normal art world on the internet, you'd have to have like a huge company that would authenticate. It's just not feasible, and that's why digital artists before NFTs weren't able to sell their stuff, because it could always be copied and it just wasn't like the art world, right? And so that's where NFTs come in. They make it so that something can be proven to be unique. So it proves the uniqueness of the things you see. I can create something online, so I create like a digital art, so digital like painting, and then it being an NFT, it proves that it is the real one and that it is the only one. What that does is it allows for someone else on the internet that doesn't know me to see it and to know that it's also that it is also unique and that he can buy it without getting scammed. That's the second part of NFTs. So the first part being to make something unique, and the second part being to be able to buy this unique thing without getting scammed. The way this works is it's based on the blockchain, so on Bitcoin or Ethereum, mostly on Ethereum. It utilizes that was a tough one. It utilizes what the blockchain is built in terms of like security and all the infrastructure needed to be able to send money to one another. And it uses this and smart contracts to create contracts between two people. And so a smart contract is just it's just like a normal contract, but instead of being like written out by some lawyer, it's written with code. There's smart contracts on the internet that say, I put this NFT for sale for $5,000, and then when someone wants to buy it, he interacts with that smart contract, and then what the contract does is it takes the $5,000 from someone and it gives him the NFT without this person, the buyer, worrying that he'll be scammed. Because if it didn't exist, if smart contracts didn't exist and you had to buy it from someone else, even if it's an NFT, I say, all right, I'll buy it from you. Then it's all right, so just like send me the money and then I'll send it afterwards. You send the money, they never send it, right? That's the problem with it, right? And so like there's sites like eBay, so you can buy things on eBay, right? And then you pay for the thing, and then you hope to receive it a few days later. And if you don't, you file a claim to eBay, and then eBay will give you your money back. But if eBay wasn't there to give your money back, everyone would be scammed. They just try to buy something off, they never sell it. It's the same thing with Amazon. You buy something from Amazon, you receive it a few days later, but it's because you are backed by Amazon that you're willing to give your money first without getting the product. Because you know that if anything happens, Amazon will pay you back. But in NFTs, it's not the case. And if buying something else online without these huge corporations behind you, it's not the case. It's like you have to have trust between the two people that, okay, I'm going to give him the money, but I trust that he's going to give me the NFT too, right? And that works with your friend. And so I can tell to my friend, okay, I'll give you $10 and you bring me back a pizza. And then I believe and I trust my friend that he's going to do it. And then I get the pizza a few hours later. But in the internet, you don't know the other people. And so you can't trust them. And that's why you need a trustless system. That's what NFTs and smart contracts do. These smart contracts is trustless. You can look at the contract, see what it's going to do exactly. And then once you see this, you don't have to trust that the other person is going to try to scam you or anything. Because if you read the contract right, and if the contract says, I give you 5,000, you give me the NFT, it's not about trust. It's a fact. It's sure that it is going to happen. You don't need to trust the other one. You just need to trust that the smart contract is going to work, and it is going to work. You buy it, you receive the NFT, the trade was done. And that's the beauty of NFTs. That's what it's all about, really. People talk about the monkeys, the JPEGs, and or the art, anything, but NFTs, what they really do is they allow people to buy things from each other online without trust, in a trustless system. That's why it makes such a big impact, and why we're going to see them in our lives more and more every day. And so I think that was a big introduction to what is an NFT, but I hope it helped you understand, because it's going to be such an important part of our future, and it's so hard to explain. So I hope I did a good job. That was fundamentally what an NFT is. But now, do I have examples of current NFTs that exist? Yeah. NFTs are mostly right now used as collectibles. What this means is there can be like 10,000 different characters, and then you want to collect them all, like collect the most you can. People will buy some from each other to get the best collection of these characters. And then why would you want a collection? Well, it's the same reason that people collect hockey cards, or why people collected Beanie Babies before. The collection is like there's no real reason to I can't tell you that having a collection will will change your life, right? There's no real reason to have a collection, but it's also there's no real reason to have like a high-end car, like a car that like a basic car works and gets you from point A to point B. But why do people pay like hundreds of thousands for their cars? Because they want to feel better. They want people to look at them a certain way. They want to be more comfortable. Like it's not a real. It's the same thing as collecting. Why do people collect? They want their friends to see all their collections. They want to feel good about themselves. They want to be the person that has the best collection. So it's just it's easy to judge from the outside and say, oh, why would I buy this monkey? Like, I don't want to pay $100,000 for this. And yet there's people paying $500,000 for cars. It's just a different mindset and something we're not used to. We're used to seeing these celebrities in these huge cars, but we're not used to seeing them with just online things. So it's just a mindset shift that people are going to go through. But it's essentially the same thing. The main difference, though, is that some things are physical and some things are digital. NFTs being 100% digital. You could ask yourselves, why would someone want a digital thing? Like, it's not real, it's not in this world, it's just online, right? This is a good argument. And for example, if you go back like 20 years, or even worse, if you go back 50 years, no one would ever want something digital, right? So first, it didn't even exist 50 years ago. But it's just, it wasn't part, even 20 years ago, it wasn't part of our lives. Like the digital part of our lives was really, really small. But today, almost everything we do is online. Like, of course, we still live in the real world, but like most kids only see their friends, like if they didn't go to school, they'd only see their friends playing games, right? They all night long they can play games with their friends, and that's all online, right? They don't go to the park together anymore. They all play games online or talk to each other online. So, and then people are getting jobs that are only online now, so they're not even going to a job anymore. They're just staying in their house in front of their computer. For these people, so the people that don't go to a job, then all they do is they stay in their house and they have their computer, and then they have their internet colleagues and they have their internet friends. So why would these people buy like $100,000 car when instead they could buy a normal car? So let's say 20,000, and take the remainder, so 80,000, and invest it in their online presence. That means they could be like the coolest person on the internet in all of their friends, and everyone would see it. They could have the coolest skin in a game, or they could have the best. They could have like the biggest collection of NFTs, or it's there's just so much. Yeah. It depends on what people value. A lot of the older people will value more materialist, more real life things. But the youngest generation, if you speak to them, all they want is they don't want is all they want is the coolest Fortnite skin, or they want what they saw their favorite player like playing with. Like they want this colored gun, or it's all digital. All they want is digital because they can't see the value in having it physical, right? Like I bet if you ask kids these days if they'd rather have normal shoes but cool shoes in their like gaming avatar, or the contrary, so normal looking shoes in their avatar but really cool shoes in the real world, I think most, if not, like I believe almost like the grand majority of them would say online. And then you can think about it and say, what? No, I'd rather have it in real life. Like I just can't. But it's not the same. The world has changed, and these kids will choose the online instead because more people will see it, and that's where their social circle is. And so that's why you would want an NFT instead of a real world thing. Then there's and then if you want another reason, you can look at people who were traditionally buying art. All right. What these people did is they went to art shows and then they looked at paintings and then they decide, okay, I want this painting. But this painting could cost like millions of dollars, right? What you have to do, you have to pay people to take these paintings, like prepare them to be ship them out to your house, or maybe you have too much in your house already because you're a collector, and so to your warehouse. And your warehouse has to be secured because you have $1 million worth of paintings in there. So you have to pay for security guards. You have to pay to get these room like temperature checked, and then when you want to sell it again, you have to pay for someone to authenticate the thing you have, and then maybe you have to pay for the shipping of this too. And then while it's shipping, you need to pay for guards because if it's worth millions of dollars, people will try to steal it while it's shipping. You see how costly it can get to own a physical painting worth millions. If instead you owned an NFT worth millions, it would cost you $0 to own and to sell. And so you owned it in your digital wallet, and then people could bid on it online, and then people buy it online from you. And once they buy it, it automatically gets transferred to their wallet, and you get the money. There's no warehouse, there's no security, there's no temperature control, there's nothing. And so that's another reason why NFTs are super good. So for these collectors, that they don't need to have the physical thing. They just want to collect and be. So for these collectors that don't even see the physical thing, that just have them in warehouses, then NFTs is just a better way to collect. So that's another reason why people would buy NFTs. Now, right now, what we see in NFTs, as I said, is there's collectibles. And so these were like the 10,000 characters that you can buy and own a character. You can even use it as your profile picture on Twitter to be in part of a crew. So like all your friends can have the same collection character from the same collection, and then you're cool, right? So that's one thing. Then people are making art online. People are buying and collecting art online. So that's another use of the NFTs right now. But what's the future of them? What's coming? When do I see that's coming in the NFT world? Maybe if we're talking like a 2-year time span, I believe people will still be buying and collecting NFTs, that's for sure. And what will be different is that the brands that everyone knows, like I'm talking like Starbucks, Walmart, like any brand, that a physical and well-known brand in the real world, will adopt NFTs too. But what they do is they'll use the technical side of NFTs. Like I was talking earlier about knowing that it's unique and being able to sell it to someone, or being able to buy it, use its smart contracts. That's what it's going to be used for. It's already seen today. It's Starbucks has a loyalty program that's using NFTs. You get points when you buy Starbucks, but it's all using NFTs in the background. And that's what we're going to see more and more, is brands going with this instead of their like current loyalty program. So for example, in McDonald's, there's points, right? You open the app and then you get points and all. But what it's going to do is you're going to be able to give more to the user. And so, for example, if you Starbucks right now, you get points, right? But then maybe if you reach a certain level of points, you can exchange that for like a golden coffee that you can use online. So now when you go online somewhere, so like in a metaverse online, you can be walking around with your golden coffee. And this way people know you're the real deal. They know you go to Starbucks a lot. And then if you see someone in the metaverse and they have a gold coffee too, then you automatically like have something in common with them, and then you strike in conversation, and then you become friends, right? That's the power, and that's what is gonna happen. It's like so the brands are just gonna start doing more and more things with NFTs because they're allowed to give more to the customer too. There's just so much more you can do with it, and so yeah, what I believe is that NFTs will be integrated to our everyday life. And then if you go into 5-year and even a 10-year time span, I don't know what will happen with collecting. I think it will, I believe it will still be there. I don't know if it will be so prevalent and that like you could literally like trade NFTs as a living. That's what we're doing right now. But what I know for sure is that brands will use them. Like the technology behind them is just it's such groundbreaking, and we're already starting to see it happen. So I believe that in a 10 years time, everyone you know will have some sort of NFT. Maybe they won't know it's an NFT. It'll be like just a loyalty program, but in reality, it's going to be an NFT. And so everyone will own an NFT. Everyone will have a digital wallet, but they might just not know what it really is behind the scenes. So that's the future of NFTs. Now, another questions we may ask is, well, okay, so I think we've talked a lot about like what were NFTs. Now I can tell like what NFTs I own and why. So maybe like not the NFTs in particular, but like the categories of NFTs I own and why I think it's something worth having, right? My thesis is that, and so in the midterm, so you're talking maybe it's for a 3-month investment, maybe 3 to 6. You want to invest in people. What that means is you invest in the founders of NFT projects, or on the founders, or like on the people, like on the influencers are talking about these projects. So when you invest in people, what I've done to invest in people is I've invested in Gary Vee. So I own some V Friends, and that's his project that he's been doing and for more than a year now. And yeah, I really believe that even if we're in a digital world, like the people part of it, the social part of it is super important. And that's a big part of my investment thesis. Another thing I do that's more for the long-term investing is I invest in historical NFTs. And that what this is NFTs that have been around for like sometimes 2 or 3 years now. And why I invest in them is I believe that like like things come and go in NFTs. So something can be hyped for 1 month and then the next month, no one's talking about it. But historical NFTs have proven over the years that they're still worthy, that they still have value, like even 3 years down the line. So even though like they're less volatile, well, there's less risk of them going down over time and going up, because like most of the time when people are collecting stuff, if it's historical stuff, it gets value. So like how old cars get like how cars, how cars like they depreciate in value for like the first, I'm not so sure, but like the first 30 years of their life, they're depreciating in value. But then once they become like antiques, then they come, their price starts to go back up. And then if it's a really old car with in really good condition, the price can be super high, maybe even like higher than what it was worth 50 years ago, right? And so that's the thesis with historical NFTs, but on a much shorter time span, is that they will not go out of style and they will be cooler and cooler as time comes. You're in 2025 and people are like, what? You have an NFT from like 2017? That's so cool. So that's why I own them, right? I also do short-term investing through like the NFTs that the influencers will talk about. And why that works is that NFTs are, like, as I said, super social. So yeah, it's a super social thing. And so if influencers are talking about it, then they influence the people around them to think it's cool. And if people think it's cool, then they buy, and then that's how the NFT gets value, right? Everyone just thinks, oh, I want that. I'm willing to pay more to have it. And then that's how it will get value. Influencers are a key part of this, because it's like, it's almost if they curate, it's almost as if they say what's cool in the market, right? Because if you're looking at the market, it's tough to know like what you value cool, right? And then you can value something, you can think something is cool, but if you're the only one that thinks so, you won't make money on it, right? You probably lose it. In NFTs, it's not just about having something cool, but having something that other people think is cool too, so will gain value. If there's influencers talking about it, there's a really higher chance that other people will find it cool too. And that's it. But you have to be careful, because sometimes these influencers will try to do pump and dumps, and that's where they talk about it for a long time. And so the price really like pumps, and the price goes high. And then they just sell everything and then never talk about it again. And then this way, the price goes back down and you use all your money if you bought where they sold. And so you really need to be careful and buy really early. If an influencer is going to talk about it, you really want to buy in early and be able to sell it before it goes down. Maybe it won't go down, right? But if you look at the past, a lot of the time it will go down after. You have to be careful with these influencers, but it's also a quick way to make money. When times get rougher, you have to be riskier in your bets. And then the last thing I own NFTs from artists in this space. And that's really cool, because that's like a big thing about NFTs that everyone talks about, that NFTs are really for digital artists, like make a living out there, and with all and especially with the royalties that it brings. And so what the royalties do is that when there's a sale happening, so like if they sell it one time, they sell it for $1,000, they get the full 1,000. But if I turn around and I sell it again to someone else for $2,000, well, the original artist is gonna get like 10% of that, and so he gets like $200 of that. And that's how the digital artists are becoming richer and richer than the normal artists, because they can make money on what they created for a long time when it's being resold all the time. So I own from some artists, but you got to be careful with this too, because it's such a good thing for artists to have NFTs that a lot of them are like just creating NFTs out there trying to make a quick buck. You don't want to buy from an artist like he's like super intense in the NFTs for like 2 months, and then once he makes his sales, he's gone. He didn't even like the space at all. He just wanted to make money. And then with the artist gone, not making anything at all, the value of what you own is going down, of course, and then you lose all your money. So yeah, you have art, but when you invest, when you're doing investing, it's to make money. You're not just buying art because it's beautiful, think it's beautiful, and that you will sell it for more later. What I like to do when buying from artists is I see what other collectors have bought from them and what's the artist's track record. For the track record part, it's like how many NFTs have they dropped, how social are they in the NFT world, and like how likely do I think they're just gonna go away. If someone has been here for like 2 weeks, I won't buy their thing. But if this person has been here for 2 years and consistently been here and never left for 2 years, now that's a great artist to buy from. Then what I found really helped is you buy from artists which other collectors are known collectors or are rich. What this will do, if the other collectors are known and rich, it will do two things. If they're rich, it means that they won't try to sell what they just bought, so the artwork they just bought, for a small profit. And so if they just bought it for $10,000, you know they're not going to try to sell it for $12,000 like a week from now. People that are really, well, from what I've seen, the rich people in the NFTs, the rich collectors, they're holding it for the long term, and for most of them, it's also just collecting art. So if you're rich enough, you don't need to make money buying art. It's just you buy it for the fun of it, and maybe you make money later, right? And so if they're rich, they're less likely to sell. And when someone's less likely to sell, it means the price will go up, right? Because if they're not willing to sell for 12,000, then what are they willing to sell for? And if their price is like 40,000, well, then it's not going to sell before 40. And then if you that bought for 10,000 are willing to sell for 20, well, you're the next one in line to sell. They're not going to sell before you and bring the price down, or they're not going to panic and then sell it for like $5,000 because they need the money right now, because they don't need the money. And this way, what you bought is not going down in price. And so there's just lots and lots of advantages to buying into a collector base that is rich. And then if they're known, it's even better, because it's like being an influencer too. People like value what they value, and they see it like, because that's an important part. An important thing we need to talk about is that most people don't know what they like. Like, most people don't really like stuff. They're just told that stuff is cool from others, and then they like it. But they're not the ones to think about it first. And that's like the majority of people. That's what you need to think about in NFTs, is that people are not just going to look at some art and find it beautiful and think they should buy it. They're going to try to see if other people like it too, and then they like it. That's the point with the known collectors, is that if they buy from an artist, it signals to everyone else that this artist is cool because this big shot collector just bought from him. So of course the artist is going to be cool. They value what this guy thinks, and if this guy thinks it's cool, then it is. This helps too, because once they buy in, well, the rest of the people think it's cool too, and then the price can go up, right? If everyone thought the art sucked, no one would buy. If everyone thought it was the best thing ever, everyone would buy. And so that's my investment thesis for what I own. And I hope it helped like understand how I'm thinking about investing in NFTs. It's really investing for me. It's not like a passion thing. I'm not just buying it to have cool art, or to feel cool because I have this many of this collection, or anything. It's just like, of course that is a cool part of it, but it's really about investing in the end. And you can see it a lot like the stock market, where people that are invest in the stock market, they just, like, if you buy a stock from Tesla, right? You buy it because you think you're going to make money from it. That's the same thing from NFTs. For my part, it's not everyone that thinks like this. Some people are diehard collectors, not trying to make money. Some are even more into the trading part, where they just try to get the pumps and dumps and they don't care at all at what they're buying. And I think I'm more in the middle, where I like to know that what I'm buying is quality, and I'm doing something good for the space. So not like trying to buy every pump and dump that's created out there, but really try to buy from cool artists and cool projects. But at the end of the day, I'm still trying to make money, and I'm still trying to put food on the table. And so there's this to think about. I think what's really cool to talk about now would be, because as I said earlier, I'm the co-founder of Quant NFT, which analyzes the NFT market, right? All the analysis we do is based on like something is based on like how I think the market works, right? What I believe is that the NFT market is deeply, deeply a social thing. And so that's different from from the stock market, where it's not about the social, it's about the money, it's about the numbers. Well, and then there's a little bit of social with maybe like Tesla has a social aspect of it, right? And maybe, but when you're talking about like a company creating like just a normal product, like a business to business product, there's no social aspect to it. Almost not. Maybe there always is, but there's not a big social aspect to it. It's mostly the numbers and the profits and all of this. But in NFTs, it's almost 100% the social. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bridge the gap of analytics between the raw numbers, so the sales that are happening, the volumes, who's buying and all that, with really who is buying this and who is talking about these projects. If a sale happens, a big sale of an NFT happens, you need to know how much you should care about that. For example, if it's from someone unknown, well, you should care less than if it was from a big shot influencer, right? Because if a big shot influencer bought, then there's a chance that people are following what he buys and will see it. And there's also a chance that he'll talk about it later on. And then all these followers will see it and go buy that same NFT too. Then, so that was starting from the sale, you can transition back to the social aspect of it. But if you start from the social, so if an influencer tweets out something about a project, you can correlate that with the chance that the project is going to be bought by his followers. And so you need to be able to detect that he's had a tweet about this project, and then using like historical data, you can see that, oh, like 9 times out of 10, if this influencer talks about this project, 10 people buy this project. Once you're able to make these connections between like the social, like talking about it, and the actual sale, that's when you have a winning algorithm for me. Like that's what I believe. That's how I believe NFTs really, really work. And I think that's cracking the code, right? When I'm talking social, I'm talking about Twitter. Well, of course, there's other socials, but the grand majority of what's happening in the NFT world is on Twitter. If you're able to get all the influencers and all the market participants and all the big time holders and collectors and whales on Twitter, and you're able to link this with their real account, with their wallet, so with the thing that buys the actual NFT, if you make this link and you understand how one influences the other, then you win, right? I believe it's easier said than done to find like finding the patterns and what actually happens is going to be tough. But I believe that this is the key to understanding NFTs. And so that's what we're building at Quant NFT. We're building like the first thing we're going to send out is there's going to be an alert system. You're going to be able to be alerted, so like receive a text or a notification on your cell phone when the algorithm detects that something is happening. It detects that this influencer tweeted about that project, and so like it detects that maybe like 10 different influencers tweeted about this project, and that he's seen a small rise in volume. Then maybe then it's gonna send you a notification and say, I think the time is right, you should buy now. Historically, it's been like it's been a key factor in the rise of the project. And so it will give you all the information in real time when you need to have it. So you can be able to respond to things that happen quickly. Because that's another part. The timing is super important. You can have all the information you want, but if you see it 12 hours later, a day later, even sometimes even 1 hour later, then you can't act on it, right? Like the pump will be done, and then the NFT will be worth twice as much, and then now is not the time to buy, right? It's having the information, but having it at the right time that's important. So that's what we're trying to solve. And first and foremost, we're solving it for us because we're NFT investors, and we want to make better gains. And but by building it out for us, we can build it out for other people too, and it's not that much work to do it, right? And so yeah, so that's the way I invest in NFTs, and that's what I think is the best way to invest in them. That's what I think the key factors are that make the price of the NFT move. And yeah, so if you do it like I do, I believe you're gonna have success. Right now it's a bit of a bear market, so it's tougher, but we've seen some huge gains possible too. I think to finish this, okay, I think there's two things we can talk about to finish, and then the first one is I forgot to talk about it earlier, and it's a big NFT project I want to talk about and why it's super cool. And then the second one is I want to talk about why it's so important to have an algorithm looking at the NFT world for you. For the first, for the cool project part, the project, and I'm not talking to, and why I'm talking about it is I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about it too. And so the project is ENS, so Ethereum Name Service. And what ENS does is it does the same thing as websites names do. You know how Google.com is the website name, or you can have your own website name. So I could have Lafleur.eth. All these website names already exist. But what Ethereum Name Service does is it gives a name not to a website, but to your wallet. And so the wallet I was talking about earlier being the place where you buy and sell NFTs from, well then this thing, instead of being like, because right now it's like a string of letters and characters, like 26 letters and characters long, right? It just means nothing, right? But you can attach a name to this thing, and people want to send you money. They say, oh, where do I send money to? And you say, oh, Lafleur.eth. And then they can send money to you this way. So that's an NFT project, but that has real utility, right? So it's not just about the social, it's about the utility. Like, it's not just about the influencers talking about it or the big collectors having it, but it's about the utility that it brings. That's a cool one I own too. And then what's even cooler about this is that there's a thing that is coming, and that's really cool, and it's sign in with Ethereum. So SIWE. And what this does is, you know how you have like these accounts on every single website you use. So you have a Facebook account, an Instagram account, you have anything else you want. You have lots of accounts, right? You have an account for your bank, an account for your Twitter. You have lots and lots of accounts. But what sign in with Ethereum does is it would mean that you could have one single account for everything that you use. And so you just have one username and one password, and you use this across everything you use. For me, Lafleur.eth is my ENS name. When I'm on Twitter, I'd have Lafleur.eth. When I'm on Instagram, I'd have Lafleur.eth. When I'm on Facebook, I'd have Lafleur.eth. Instead of having accounts everywhere, you just have one, and every application uses this account to identify you. And that's something that I really believe is going to come. And so once it does, you can see how the value of names on ENS could explode, right? Because right now, having a cool name on Twitter is already worth a lot. People pay tens of thousands of dollars for a cool name on Twitter. But they also do for cool names on Instagram or cool names on Instagram too, right? But imagine there weren't two, like you wanted to be called Jack, for example. Could be called Jack on Instagram and Jack on Twitter. But if there was only one way to be called Jack and not two, then this would be worth a lot more, right? Because if you're called Jack, then you're called Jack everywhere. And then a new thing comes along and you're the one that's called Jack too. And no one can take your name. That's a really big thing that we could see happening. And I believe we'll see it happening at a small scale with the new like Web3 applications happening. I don't know if it's really going to go to these huge platforms that already exist like Instagram or Twitter. I really believe we'll go to the new things that are going to happen. So these social platforms that we don't even know exist right now, I think these will be based on that. And if they are, then that's a huge value proposition for the ENS names. And so that's just a little thing I wanted to talk about real quick because I forgot earlier. I think it's really important to say that some NFT projects are not just about social, but about like all utility they could bring. So that's why I invest in this one. And so now just to end it off, why you should invest using an algorithm or an AI instead of just by yourself is because the NFT world is really different from, for example, the stock world, the stock investing world. There's just so much more happening at every hour of the day. And so it's 24/7, right? The stock market's open like 8 hours a day, something like that. NFTs are open 24/7 and things happen on there 24/7. It's all around the world, right? If you're the one trying to trying to monitor everything that's happening, it's just not possible, right? You have to sleep. And then if you sleep, you miss the opportunities. But even if you said, okay, well, when I sleep, like you say, all right, let's just say that the NFT market was 8 hours. Instead of 24 hours, it's only open 8. And it's just like the stock market, right? Well, then the difference gets that there's NFT projects, there's like multiple NFT projects being created every day. Every day, you need to keep track of the current NFT projects that exist, the ones you own, and the ones that are being created. Every day, it gets harder and harder to do that. So maybe if you go back 3 years ago, you didn't need, right? There were hundreds of projects. And then that was good. You could check all what was happening. But today, there's thousands and thousands of projects, and you just don't have enough bandwidth to check all of them. And so what you do, if you're not going to be able to check all of them, what's your only alternative, right? Well, that's when you turn to influencers and to these huge collectors. You don't have time to look at everything that's coming out, and so you just look at what these people are talking about, and that's what you buy, and then you just buy what these people tell you to buy, essentially. If you want to be able to make decisions more for yourself and with your own data, you have to go to the route of having an algorithm that will check the blockchain for you and give you the data that you really need. Like, algorithms already exist in the investing world, but lots don't use them and still make a lot of profit. But in the NFT, I think it will get even harder. Every day will get harder to make money with them. You'll really need to without them, and so you really need to have one.